Thanks for tuning in to Ascension 17 with Cynthia Clark, love and ascension coach, author, and healer. This show is to empower starseeds to ascend and become their infinite light. We'll be discussing all sorts of spiritual topics for your vibrational nourishment. This podcast is sponsored by Ascension17.com, the place to find ascension tools and community. Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Ascension 17 podcast. My name is Cynthia Clark, and I am a love and ascension coach. And I am excited to talk today about maybe a somewhat controversial topic about starseeds. And I am going to speak from my own personal experiences. So you can take it or leave it. You may not believe in extraterrestrials, but if you don't, then I'm hoping to open up your mind so that maybe you can have a new perspective on it. And if you already do, I want you to think about if maybe you are a starseed yourself, and maybe if you come from an extraterrestrial heritage. So there's a lot of, like I said, controversy around this topic. So I'm going to take you back through some of the stories that I've accumulated over the years, which is, again, these are just my personal experiences, and you can take it or leave it. But what I want to do also is not only teach you a little bit about starseeds, but I want to also help you to heal and ascend, because of course this is what we are all about, is helping you in your ascension process. And based upon the experiences that I've accumulated, that's one of the purposes that I have for being here on the planet. So first of all, let's just answer the question, what is a starseed? A starseed is somebody who has extraterrestrial parentage. Okay, so from a soul level, we are infinite, right? We are infinite beings of light, and we come from different places. Okay, so when you think about your soul first coming into existence, which of course is in a timeless existence, because you're not, your soul is beyond space and time. Okay, your soul is eternal, but you are here on an evolutionary pathway, and that's what Ascension is all about. So when we think about origins, some people come from different star systems and different star beings. Okay, so I was first aware of extraterrestrials, well, obviously when I was a kid. We all grow up with different, watching Star Trek, or that was always one of my favorite shows, by the way, because my older brothers were really into it, and my dad was also. And my dad actually worked for, he was in a high security clearance job where he worked on the spy planes. He's now passed, but he had top security clearance to maintain the spy planes, which was, I thought a really cool job. But of course, he couldn't talk about any of it. So, but he did kind of feed me a little bit of things to read. Going back to when I was 10, I read Gina Cerminara's book on Edgar Cayce's life, and how he talked about past lives and things like that. So that really opened up my mind to being a soul having multiple lifetimes. So through the years, I have always been interested in the stars. So if you're a starseed, chances are you have been looking up at the sky for years and years, looking at the beautiful stars, looking at the planets, I actually joined the Salt Lake Astronomical Society when I was 15, and my brother Kenny got me into it. And I used to run telescopes for the planetarium, and also for the Astronomical Society. And I had the best time. So, one of the things that I discovered was the star cluster, which is an open star cluster known as the Pleiades. And the Pleiades is located in the constellation Taurus. And in my astrological chart, Taurus happens to also be my rising sign. So I thought that was an interesting correlation. But yeah, I've been looking at the stars for a long time. Another connection I had with the Pleiades was when I purchased my first Subaru. So if any of you out there happen to own a Subaru vehicle, the name Subaru actually means Pleiades. And we actually got one, me and my husband, fairly recently. We got a new Subaru. And I just happened to ask the salesperson about the name and the symbol of their car, which of course is the representation of the star cluster of the Pleiades. And they told me that it had to do with the merging of different companies coming together into one company known as Subaru, and so that was their symbol. So it's also known as the Seven Sisters. So I always, in the sky, it just looks so beautiful. Open star clusters are magnificent because you can actually see them with the naked eye, but you can also tune in with a telescope, and you can see it in even more detail, which is amazing. One of my favorite constellations for sure, the open star cluster in Taurus. So moving on to other connections to the Pleiades. Okay, so I was told by one of my clients, so I had been reading hands for about a year, I would say. This was back in I remember it was late 2009. And one of my clients had told me to read this book. And the book was called The Reconnection. And it's by Dr. Eric Pearl. Heal Others, Heal Yourself. Okay, so they told me, this lady told me to read this book. And after reading hands, I also had been doing energy work for about 10 years. I had been practicing Qigong for a number of years. So I definitely was in the realm of alternative healing. And in my own hands, I had two markers that indicated that I was a healer. One is called the healing stigmata, and I've got a picture here. On your hand, if you look underneath your little finger, if you happen to have 4 or more vertical lines, that is known as the healing stigmata. And I also happen to have another one called the Neptune star, and that's located right at the base of the palm, in between what we call Venus, which is closer to the thumb, and Luna, which is closer to the little finger at the bottom of the hand. So right in the middle is the realm of Neptune. Oftentimes it'll show, this little star will show up at the base of the lifeline. Okay, so we call that a star of Neptune. I happen to have both of these markers in my hands. So the healing stigmata simply indicates that I'm a healer, and the Neptune star represents somebody who helps people get through emotional trauma and stress. So, and I've personally helped 3 people to not commit suicide, which over the course of my time in this profession, I've had to work with some people in some pretty deep emotional um, turmoil. One of my clients actually, she was ready to run out of the room and she was threatening to kill herself. I literally pulled her back into the room. That was a pretty scary experience. And I had another client who, after I learned how to do this reconnective healing, because I ended up getting training and certification in it, I had actually helped him he told me after his session that he was going to kill himself, but because of the work that we did together, he turned a new leaf on life, and he's doing much better now. So that was a couple of really good experiences. But when I read the book, The Reconnection, I felt these frequencies getting sucked into my hands. And first it was my left hand, and then it was my right hand. And it felt like my hands were literally like charged. Okay, so if you ever have had a feeling of like your hands falling asleep, then you'll know what I'm talking about. That's exactly what they felt like. And I went up to my husband at the time because I was new to this whole, what is this type of healing? And he used to have chronic back pain. And what I learned was that, excuse me, was that reconnective healing could help him. So I just started to move my hands around him, and he started to feel better. And he turned to me and he said, "Wow, what are you doing?" And at the time, I had no idea what I was doing. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm just doing what this book was telling me to do. So anyway, that was kind of the start of the healing journey that I went on. And since then, I've worked with hundreds of people in just healing type scenarios. And I've worked with thousands of people in helping them, coach them in learning about their purpose and their direction. So the Pleiadians have definitely had a presence. And this is one of the star extraterrestrial entities that are out there. So another book that I read was called The Pleiadian Workbook, which is another one that I got into. It's by Amora Kuan Yin, Awakening Your Divine Ka. And so she talks a lot about the Pleiadians and how their primary focus is for healing. I also had a past life regression and a hypnosis session where one of the questions I wanted to have answered was, where do I come from? And the answer that came up was, she comes from the stars, the Pleiades, her ancestry. And then another thing that came up in that session was the blue rose. Now, roses have been part of my pathway for a very long time because I actually asked for a sign from the universe. After my divorce, I was going through a really rough time and I was meditating every single day, but I didn't know if the meditations were working. Okay, so this is where our ego comes in, right? And we want to have verification and we don't know. We're kind of detached, right? We're not really sure that anything is happening. So I simply asked for a sign from the universe that I would see red or pink roses in my field, just as confirmation that what I was doing was making a difference. So the very next day I got my confirmation. It turns out I was going to a ski swap and I needed a new pair of goggles. And there were, I don't know, maybe 200 pairs of goggles on this big table. And this was over in Snowmass Village, Colorado. And there was one pair, and this guy who was working there, he turned to me, he's like, "Here, try this pair on." And it had red and pink roses along the side of the goggle. instead of like a black, or the logo on the side, which is normally the way they are. It had red and pink roses all over it. And I was like, that's my pair. And it was also my confirmation. So the rose, it turns out, the blue rose specifically, is a symbol of the Pleiadians. And so when I was in this hypnosis session, what I learned was that the blue rose was going to be placed inside my heart, one of our symbols, and the petals show the beauty of our energy. We come in peaceful energy to assist the planet with its ascension. So that was the message that came through, and I felt the energy of the blue rose coming through that session. I could feel this beautiful opening of my heart. So this is something I want to offer for you today. So if you are a Pleiadian, or even if you're not, we're going to do a little bit of healing here in just a few minutes. I also want to just mention there's other ET groups that are out there. So maybe you connect, maybe you don't connect with the Pleiadians, but maybe you connect with one of the other ones, such as the Sirians, the Arcturians, the Andromedans, the Hathors, the Tall Whites. These are all different ET groups. And I'm sure there's many, many others as well. But if you're somebody who's been interested in the stars, if you're somebody who is sensitive and probably a healer, for example, if you have that healing stigmata in your hands, and if you're a sensitive, empathic type person, chances are you may be a starseed. You may also be a starseed if you have a feeling of always being sort of on the outside of things. And this is what I call the black sheep marker in the hands. And it's located in what we call the Apollo finger. Your Apollo finger is your presentation finger. It's your ring finger. And it's how you show yourself to the world. So occasionally what will happen with this finger is you'll have a little, what's called waist. And what it looks like is instead of the finger being a solid up and down, it actually indents, like somebody took a belt and wrapped it around the finger, and it has just sort of this little indent. Okay, we call that wasting. And wasting can occur on any finger, but when it occurs on Apollo, which is quite common, that would be the marker of the black sheep. And it turns out that a lot of starseeds happen to have that particular marker in their hands. So take a look and check for that. So let's move on to, okay, so let's say you've identified yourself as, hey, I think I might be a starseed. Okay, chances are if you're listening to this or if you're watching this, you probably are one, because you're going to be interested in all these things like I was saying. But let's go ahead and just have you tap into your own natural healing. Let's have you also receive a healing today. This is something that I would like to offer you. And we're going to start off with that blue rose, okay? Because this blue rose is so soft and so sweet and so gentle. Okay, so what I want you to do is just close your eyes, and I want you to feel that blue rose coming right into your heart. Okay, it's in full bloom. It's very soft, very gentle. And I'm going to do just a little bit of healing work with you right now. Okay, I want you to feel relaxed. I want you to take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. And I want you just to pay attention to your body, the sensations in your body. I want you to trust that all is well. that you are safe. You can embrace the beauty of the blue rose, and you can feel calm and peaceful. I want you to think about anything that makes you happy right now. Just go to that place of happiness and allow yourself to receive the beautiful blue rose of healing. Just be aware that you're okay, everything is okay. You are supported by the universe, not just human, but also these benevolent ETs who want to see you ascend. They have a vested interest in your ascension because they're tied to you. So as our planet ascends, they can also ascend because we are all connected. And just feel the energy of the blue rose spread throughout your whole body. Feel the peacefulness, feel the strength, the beauty, the love. Feel the love that is your birthright. And when you're ready, go ahead and bring your awareness back to the room that you're in. Go ahead and open your eyes. And notice if you feel any different from this short little healing session. Chances are you might even feel something well beyond the session because that's the way these frequencies tend to work. So I know I'm feeling the, the pulsing of the blue rose right now, and chances are it's going to continue probably the rest of the day, at least. But I hope that this helps you, and I hope that you have a beautiful day. I hope that your health and well-being is elevated from listening to this show. And I welcome your input, by the way, since this is a fairly new show. If you are interested in being a guest on the show, I am looking to interview some people, and we can explore some of the Ascension tools together as well. But I want to hear your stories. So for example, if you have an ET story or an Ascension story, I want to hear about it, and I think it could benefit everybody to hear about your stories. So feel free to just email me. I'll have all the info in the notes of the show. And also, if you have any questions that you want me to answer on an episode, just post a comment and say, hey, I want to hear more about this, or I want to learn more about that. Whatever it is that you're interested in, I'm here for you, and I want this show to be for you. So just let me know what it is that you're interested in learning more about, and we will find the answers together. So I truly appreciate you and all that you are as an infinite being of light. So remember to live life with love and hold the energy of that infinite light in your heart. Until next time, this is Cynthia Clark. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for listening to Ascension 17. Please rate, review, and subscribe to show your support. Have a question for Cynthia? Just post a comment. This podcast is sponsored by Ascension17.com, the place that empowers starseeds to ascend and become their infinite light. Want to discover the most important step in Ascension and how to take it? Sign up for free at ascension17.com.